Cameroun. Le quatrième invité de droit de réponse est Maître Akbor Congo. Bonjour Maître.
Good morning.
Vous êtes leader du consortium de la société civile anglophone, directeur du Centre de promotion des droits humains et de la démocratie en Afrique centrale, et vous venez de la région du Sud-Ouest pour participer à cette émission spéciale. Je reste avec vous. Quelle a été l'ambiance en ce jour de fête nationale de l'unité dans la région du Sud-Ouest d'où vous venez?
Well, the situation is very tense. The people are not very motivated. They have a lot of grievances against the system, against the institutions, and the belief that it has to be addressed, that whilst we are addressing 20th May and its importance in the country, but also there are fundamental issues that have to be addressed. Fundamental issues that touch and concern the existence of the country, that touch and concerns living together as one, that touch and concerns living together as a people. If these issues are not addressed, you know, the people are very reluctant. You could tell that the mobilization was very timid. Most people had even left town. Boya was kind of abandoned yesterday, even and today morning, because people were a bit worried because of the security constraints.
Effectivement. Pourtant, le président de la République a convié l'armée nigériane au boulevard du 20 mai à Yaoundé ce matin pour célébrer cette unité nationale et la paix entre les voisins du Cameroun. Et on a pu observer également que le premier carré du défilé civil était la section Common Law à l'ENAM pour marquer l'intérêt du gouvernement pour le bilinguisme. Maître Akbor Congo, vous avez pu suivre ce défilé au boulevard du 20 mai à Yaoundé et la mise en avant du bilinguisme camerounais par le président de la République. Est-ce que ce sont des signes que le chef de l'État reste attaché profondément à ce bilinguisme et à la résolution de cette crise anglophone?
You see, we're very hypocritical in this country.
Pourquoi vous estimez qu'il y a de l'hypocrisie?
Because
Akbor Congo,
2 years ago, we were in this very panel, and we raised the issue about the common law, about lawyers and teachers. And they argued that there was no problem, that there was nothing. After a while, people were arrested. The president made some cosmetic appointments or measures were put in place, like the common law bench at the Supreme Court and the other one in Enam, you know. And today, everybody is hailing it. But that is not the problem. Let us be honest. Let us go to the fundamental problems that the people are facing. Ask the question, why is it that 20th May doesn't resonate well with the people of the former Southern Cameroons like the way it does with the people of East Cameroon, or called La République du Cameroon? There is a fundamental question. Unless we address those questions, all this cosmetic bilingualism commission, common law bench, will not address the fundamental issues. The people boycott not because they forced them. I remember in 2016, during the days of the consortium, nobody was forced. But on 9 January, nobody went out. Because the people believe that the elected, so-called elected leaders don't represent them, don't speak for them, don't defend their interests, don't fight for them. As we speak, I've not heard any elected leader of the Anglophone region condemning what is going on. They don't criticize what is going on. They don't criticize government excesses. So the people have lost faith in leadership. There is a disconnect between the definition of leadership in Yaoundé and leadership on the ground. We need to come back to the basis and ask ourselves, what is the essence of the 20th May? What is the importance? If we cannot address the issue, we would celebrate it, there will always be boycotts. So we need to go back to the basics. We need to address the fundamental issues. You know, yes, I appreciate the fact that at least some baby steps have been taken to address some of the issues.
Justement, Yaoundé...
Avant cela, il y avait la répression, oui. Mais la répression, c'est pas la guerre.
Madame le député, there is something, and I'll make it clear.
Yes.
I might not buy 100% the ideology of those who have taken arms against government.
I said it.
Yes,
I said
but as a Southern Cameroonian, I stand to defend the interests of our people.
No problem.
And why have people taken up arms? You are saying that the war was declared when on the 17th of January, myself, Dr. Fontem, and the rest were kidnapped and taken to Yaoundé. You know, when internet was cut down, when people were arrested.
De la répression.
Excuse me. When people were arrested, when people could not, when you made people, they decided to defend themselves. When you attack people, you kidnap them and you take them to Yaoundé. Contrary to the 2009 decision of the African Commission in Scapo versus the government, that clearly said that you cannot arrest people in the southwest and northwest and take them to the military tribunal. You push the people to the wall, and you cannot sit here. You push the people of the Southern Cameroons to the wall, and you cannot say that it started. No, it started because government started kidnapping people. The people had to protect themselves. If I come to your house, if I rape your child, if I try to kill your children, you will take up whatever, if it's a knife, to protect yourself.
Okay.
And that is what the people have decided to do. They might not be right. They might not be right. Don't get me wrong. They might not be right, but at least they would protect their people.
Edmond Kamga, on a là deux perceptions, deux avis à la belle, je vous en prie. Une grave crise humanitaire, un désastre économique et social très important relayé dans la presse, les activités économiques qui tournent au ralenti, de nombreuses écoles qui sont fermées depuis près de 2 ans déjà dans les régions du nord-ouest et du sud-ouest. Maître Agbo-Congo, est-ce que les évêques du Cameroun peuvent jouer le rôle de médiateurs? Peuvent-ils apaiser ces tensions dans les régions du nord-ouest et du sud-ouest?
It's not, yes, the clergy can play a role, but it's not only the clergy. You know, the problem in Cameroon is that everything is done by politicians. You need a clergy, you need a civil society, you need the politicians, you need credible people in this country. And we have, who can try to sit together and come up with ideas. When you have 40,000 refugees as of 3 months ago, when you have close to 200,000 internally displaced, because the guys of the Office of the High Commission of Human Rights, I had a meeting with them in my office on Thursday. The 160 they are talking about doesn't include Lebialem and Jan and the other areas. So as we speak, each passing day, the number of internally displaced increases. When we look at the burnings of villages, people's livelihood, people living in the bush, terrorizing the civilian population, I mean by government, where the ill treatment of people who have been arrested, at least the Minister of Defense himself acknowledged and issued a communique. It's high time that we find a way of addressing the issues. And the clergy, they could do something. The civil society. Also, we have international partners who are in Cameroon, who can help in trying to find a solution, because also the people have lost faith in some of the members who are ruling them. So it would be difficult. And Madam Honorable, it cannot just be that the arms groups should drop down their arms and everything will be fine. Let's be honest also. Okay, government has a major role to play. Government has a major role to play, because you will hear announcement where the SDO, the DO will say people should leave the bushes and come back to town. Some come, the next minute government forces attack them and they burn their villages. They burn their bikes. They don't have any protection. So we need to sit together. Government has a major role to play in trying to find a solution. And as I said repeatedly, you don't talk only to your friends. You talk to people who don't disagree, who don't agree with you. You talk to your enemies. Government has to talk to the people who are in control of what is happening on the ground. It's not supposed to only be members of the band consortium. No, you have to talk for those clamoring for separation. They did it with the FARC rebels. Okay.
After how many years?
No, they have. We don't need to wait for 30 years with 5 million people killed before we talk. If we can talk today, if we can find a way of talking, ask them. It's good, because when you meet them, you can know why they are doing what they are doing.
À propos de cette crise anglophone, Maître Agbor Congo, à propos de cette crise anglophone, le Conseil, vous avez discuté avec l'ambassadeur des États-Unis.
Pourquoi vous aimez me couper la parole comme ça?
Je vous en prie.
Agbor, tout à l'heure, vous m'avez fait une civilité, je vous la rends. Si je vous parle comme ça, c'est parce que vous êtes quelqu'un que j'apprécie et que je respecte. Et je pense que vous pouvez faire quelque chose. Et c'est la raison pour laquelle je vous interpelle de cette façon-là. Maintenant, c'est fait, vous pouvez
Maître Agbor Congo, vous avez justement discuté avec l'ambassadeur des États-Unis d'Amérique. Il a organisé une discussion au sujet de la crise anglophone il y a quelques semaines, bien avant cette rencontre avec le chef de l'État du Cameroun et cette déclaration. Est-ce que les États-Unis sont prêts à jouer un rôle de médiation dans cette crise anglophone? Qu'est-ce qui explique cette implication, ce regard de l'ambassadeur américain au sujet de cette crise, selon vous?
I think the ambassador had made it clear that if the government allows them, because they respect the territorial integrity of this nation and the sovereignty, that if the government allows them, they would like to intervene to find a solution to the crisis.
Ils ont d'abord réussi,
you know,
avant.
and when we talk about the solution to the crisis, like what the ambassador said, yes, I think both parties have to find a way, because it's not just one party, the both parties. But I would say when you stop burning down villages, when you respond in a disproportionate manner, we condemn the killing of gendarmes. Nobody's supporting it. But when you kill one gendarme in a village, and you come there and you burn the entire village, you kill 20 other persons, you are supposed to be a Republican army there to protect the people, then there is a problem. Nobody is justifying, Honorable, nobody is justifying the fact that gendarmes should be killed. No. But we are saying that if it happens, you can find a way to investigate. You can find a way to look at those who did it and then try to find measures. But you cannot just burn an entire village. Honorable, the government is radicalizing people every day. If you go to Munyenge, if you go to Kombone, if you go to Nguti, if you go to Bello, if you go to that and you see what is going on. For example, the chief who was killed the other day, the chief was trying to rally people in the Umojob area. You look at the Fonts Palace in Lebialem, part was burned. And you expect those same funds tomorrow to come and sit and call the people that they should respect the institutions of the state. The government also has helped in delegitimizing some of them in the eyes of the people, and now they cannot speak. So each of them, the arms groups and the government, they have to talk. And when I say have to talk, they talk to everybody. And don't forget, the leaders are currently in jail for at least 4 months. Seseku Tabe and co. Okay? I think as a sign of good faith of the government, to show that, okay, we are really ready for things to change, you can at least release them. They have been there for 4 months, no access to lawyers and family. We are not in North Korea. We are in Cameroon. And if it's in a rule of law, and we want to, you want to say, yes, they are only accused of. As we speak, the court has not found them guilty. But why do you keep them for 4 months? 4 months. Without access to lawyers.
En ces heures troubles de la vie nationale, d'abord, Maître Agbor Congo, sur cette invitation des États-Unis qui demande à ce que le chef de l'État s'inspire de George Washington et qu'il rentre dans l'histoire. Comment vous percevez ces propos? Qu'est-ce qu'ils signifient pour vous?
No, but what he said is, I think what everybody says behind the president. I'm sure even people in the members of the CPDM, they do say, it's nothing new. Why are we pretending? 36 years in power is enough. Okay? It's been there for long. He should midwife a genuine transition. We need to have a change of leadership. We need to have a rotational presidency between the two peoples that came together and formed this country. Okay? The constitution has to be amended to ensure, like what is happening in Nigeria, that when you have a president from the former East Cameroon this time, the next time a president, the parties which are running for election should have candidates only from the former Southern Cameroon. That would help in a way. But my last word is that the government has to talk. The government has to talk to everybody.
Merci.
Call them separatists, call them whatever name. For us to have a permanent solution in this country, the government has to talk to them.
Merci,
they control the people on the ground, and the government must talk to them for a solution.
Précisons que jusqu'ici, le